thinking through distributive justice, it's common to focus on property, including wealth and income, power, and opportunity. In most societies, the legal system is the primary vehicle for defining how these three things are distributed. When it comes to evaluating the justice of a legal system, four dimensions of evaluation loom large. First, the origin of the laws. Second, the content of the laws. Third, the application of the laws by the courts, the police, and the penal system. And finally, fourth, the effect of those laws given how they're applied and enforced. With respect to each of these dimensions of evaluation, the question to ask, if we're concerned with justice, is who has a right to what? Do citizens have a right to determine how they are governed and by whom? That goes to the origin of the laws. Do they have a right to laws that do not discriminate on the basis of wealth, gender, or race? That goes to the content of the laws. Do they have a right to the impartial enforcement of the law? That goes to how the laws are applied. Do they have a right not to suffer in certain ways as a result of the laws? That goes to their effect. Addressing such questions and figuring out who has a right to what is at the heart of understanding what justice demands of the legal system. Laws that pass muster along the first dimension, regarding their origin, may fail on the second, regarding their content. And laws that pass on the first two dimensions may fail on the third, regarding how the laws are applied. Moreover, laws that pass the first three of those dimensions of evaluation may still be unjust in light of the fourth, their effects. Being clear and careful when thinking about each dimension of evaluation is crucial to having a full view of the justice of a legal system. Within these broad constraints imposed by justice on legal systems, there's a lot of room for very different legal systems to be consistent with justice, at least in principle. This is because when it comes to property, including wealth and income, power, and opportunity, the question of what is rightfully whose is highly contingent on the circumstances in that society. The existing laws, conventions, and social practices, though often flawed and almost always tainted by past injustices, create reasonable expectations and as a result shape what people have a right to count on. To ignore such expectations, say in an attempt to start anew, almost inevitably will do injustice to those who have acted in good faith. Whether the attempt to start anew is required by justice depends. What it depends on is what the alternatives are. And it depends also on the extent to which one or another of the available options does a better job, all things considered, of ensuring that people get what is rightfully theirs. A serious risk of revolution is that the result is often, though certainly not always, disaster. This complexity makes it very difficult to determine who has a right to what in any particular context. Coming to terms with this and appreciating its implications is among the central challenges of trying to be a just person.